In this episode of the Christian Home and Family Podcast, I want to talk to you about the importance of learning to be flexible when it comes to family life. This episode of the Christian Home and Family Podcast is brought to you by my book, Recharge, devotional Bible study methods to recharge your spiritual growth, improve your spiritual health, and grow your intimacy with God. You can find out more at christianhomeandfamily.com/store. Well, I'm talking to you out of real life experience on this one. We're in a situation as a family where it is tough to stick to the plans we've made, the dreams that we have, the vision that we feel like the Lord has actually given us, but circumstances just aren't lining up in a way that's making that very easy. So what do you do in a situation like that? Well, I think there's a mindset for us as parents that is incredibly important, and you can find it in this passage. This is Proverbs chapter 16, verse number 9. This is the English Standard Version I'm reading. It says, "The heart of a man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps." You know, it's not uncommon for us to have ideas in our heads of what we think we should be doing, where we think we should be heading. And yes, we pray, and yes, we seek the Lord to pursue His will for what it is we should be doing. But you know, the fact of the matter is we're still fallen human beings, and we don't always hear Him correctly. We don't always discern what it is exactly that He wants us to do. And we're doing our best, and we're walking in faith, which, by the way, I believe pleases Him immensely. But we're still missing the mark. And so circumstances, the actual steps that are happening in our life aren't lining up with what it is that we feel it is the Lord wants us to do. So what do you do then? Well, I think the truth behind this verse helps us tremendously. It's the idea that God is the one who's sovereign, and He brings into our lives the things that are meant for us, that are timely for us at that moment, and we need to learn how to rest in that. Not being so anxious, not being so uptight about whether we're getting where we think we should go or not, but instead learning to trust the Lord with our circumstance and with the place that we are in life. We have to remember, we've planned our way. We have this idea, and we may even think it's from the Lord, but ultimately it's the Lord who's directing our steps. So we can take that circumstance, whatever it is, and say to ourselves, this too is from God. This is where He wants me today. You know, often we think life is about tomorrow. Life is about the vision, about where we're headed. But in reality, life is about right now. This moment that God has given us matters. And so if we can take this moment, take this situation, no matter how long it's been going on, and say, the Lord has me here for His good purpose. And I'm going to walk in it faithfully. I'm going to trust Him in the midst of it. And I'm going to let my faith grow rather than be hindered because of my own frustration. I can't tell you what an example this is for our children. Man, think about it. Your children learn what it looks like to be a man or a woman of God in a time of frustration, in a time of confusion, in a time when you don't know really what's going on. Nevertheless, they can see the joy of the Lord coming out in the fruit of the Spirit. They can see your patience and your peacefulness. They can see the Lord at work in your life, and they learn that circumstances aren't what matters. Following the Lord with an attitude of faith is what matters. Parents, I want to ask you, can you commit yourself to developing this sort of an attitude where God is the one in charge no matter what you think you've heard from Him? And you can allow yourself to flex in those family situations. You can flex in the path you're on in life to include the fact that His will is prevailing in your life right now. Don't blame it on the enemy. Don't blame it on opposition from people. Recognize that even above those things, as true as they may be, God is sovereign. And if He wanted you out of this situation, you would be out of it instantly. But the fact is, you are there according to His purpose. And you need to rest in Him, draw close to Him in relationship, and wait on Him to reveal your next step. You know, one of my favorite devotional authors, Oswald Chambers, often said this. He used the phrase, "until further orders." And it was a reference to military terminology, meaning God has given you orders to be in the place you're at right now. And your job is to be faithful in that task, in that role, in that place, until you receive further orders. The Christian Home and Family Podcast is all about radical faith for generations. If I can help you develop that kind of faith in your family in any way, I would love to hear from you. Please contact me at the link in the video. And if you could go to iTunes to leave a review for us about the Christian Home and Family Podcast, that will help us get the word out. You can use the link right here in the video to go to iTunes immediately and do that.